The jury has reached a verdict in the Trump Organization tax fraud trial in New York. CNN's Kara Scannell has the breaking details. What do you know?
Well, Victor, that's right. The jury just returned a verdict guilty on all counts against both Trump Corporation entities. That means that the jury, after 2 days of deliberations and 4 notes today, came back with this decisive verdict, unanimous, guilty on all counts. Now, remember, the 2 Trump Organization entities were accused of being involved in a 15-year tax fraud scheme where they gave their executives, certain executives, off-the-books compensation. That was corporate apartments that were rent-free. That was company cars. That was private school tuition for Allen Weisselberg, the chief financial officer's grandchildren. The jury finding the companies were guilty on that. Now, Donald Trump, former president, was not charged in this case, but its name did come out at the trial, including on closing statements, one of the prosecutors saying that he believed that Donald Trump had sanctioned some of this tax fraud. So now the judge will sentence the company at some point down the road. While there's no mechanism under New York law to dissolve the company, it will face fines that could be as much as $1.6 million. That will come at a future date. But, you know, the former president himself has no personal legal liability in this case, but it certainly is a black mark for him, for the company that he built from the ground up. And it comes as the Manhattan District Attorney's Office, which can claim this as a victory today, is continuing its investigation into the Trump Organization. That investigation, which has been ongoing for several years, is still continuing. But today, a decisive victory by the jury. The Trump Organization entities found guilty of scheme to defraud, conspiracy, 3 counts of tax fraud, and multiple counts of falsifying business records. Victor, Allison?
Kara, just explain to us, why isn't any human being held accountable? Why is just an organization? Why not Donald Trump, since he made all of the decisions for Trump Org?
So, Allison, this is the way that the prosecutor's office decided to charge this case. They charged these 2 Trump Corporation entities and Allen Weisselberg, the former chief financial officer. Remember, this was in the scope of this long investigation. They were hoping to get Allen Weisselberg to flip, to cooperate and help them on their broader investigation into the accuracy of the Trump Organization's financial statements. So they charged Allen Weisselberg on this. He pled guilty earlier this year in August to 15 felonies. He agreed as part of that plea deal to testify in this case as a state witness in exchange for a lenient prison sentence. Now, when Allen Weisselberg was on the stand, he walked this tightrope, both giving the prosecutors what they want, telling the truth that he had engaged in this fraudulent scheme, but he walked a very fine line, telling the jury that he did not conspire or scheme with any members of the Trump family. That was a prosecutorial decision, why they decided just to charge Weisselberg and not other people. But a number of other individuals who were implicated in this testified before the state grand jury. And in New York State, if you testify before the grand jury, you get immunity. So they needed to get some of these insiders of the Trump Organization, a place where people have worked for decades. That's one thing that became quite apparent during this trial. How many people have worked there for more than 20 years? So they had some insiders cooperating under an immunity deal. Weisselberg was obviously the big fish as the chief financial officer, and he personally benefited from this. His tax returns were fraudulent, and he received these falsified